What's happening, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about Delta Force. It just entered its 7-day technical test. It's on Steam right now, and everyone can play for free. So if you didn't get in the last time because you didn't get a key, you can play now both the Tactical Turmoil, which is the extraction-based shooter, or the Havoc Warfare, which is the battlefield-style shooter. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be specifically talking about Tactical Turmoil because I primarily play Escape for Tarkov or games like Tarkov, and Tactical Turmoil is directly competing with Escape for Tarkov and has taken a lot of features from EFT and implemented it into its own type of game, while also making some pretty interesting changes and some innovations that we're going to be talking about in today's video. And later on in the actual video, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I don't like and some of the things that I think could be improved to make the game better. So the number one thing that I love about the Delta Force take on extraction shooters is the Loadout Builder. It is by far the best out of every single game that I've played, and there's been quite a few. And there's a number of options that the game gives you to build loadouts. If you like the way that Escape for Tarkov does it, where you're in your stash menu and you just want to drag everything over and modify everything in the stash, put your backpack on manually, chest rig, all the stuff, it works exactly the same as EFT. But if you want to do the Loadout Builder, you just queue for a map, and just before you're ready to prepare, it will give you the option to choose your primary, your secondary, your pistol, and whenever you choose a weapon, it will also show you all the available options for ammunition in the game and the current price. It will instantly pull any ammo that you have out of your stash first. Then it will choose the cheapest available option if you want to buy more. That could be the dealers, so if you level them up, you'll get more options. Or the auction house, which is more of a RuneScape style grand exchange than a flea market. To put it simply, players sell into a massive pool of items that dictates the set price based on supply and demand, and players will buy from that pool. It's not a laundry list of individuals that are trying to undercut each other at all times. It is a much simpler and easy system, and because of the simplicity, it also means loadout builders work so much better because you can just buy an item directly from a built-in menu where the set price is already the cheapest it possibly can be. The same could be said for your helmets. If you already have helmets in your stash, you'll be able to pull them in. You can also repair them directly from this Loadout Builder, and then you can see the price that's directly there. It's like, it's so great for building budget kits or trying to keep things to a minimum because you no longer have to do any guesswork. You literally just click on the helmet, you see it's 10K, and bam, you buy it. It's just that simple. It makes it so easy. The same thing can be said for meds. You click on the medical button and you get all your options. You pull directly from your stash. If you don't have a surgical kit, you will automatically buy one. You can get everything that you need just right there. And let's say that you die. This is something that I only recently discovered. If you click on loadouts in the Loadout Builder, it will show you the previous loadout that you died, and you can automatically buy it again instantly. Every attachment, the weapon, the medical placement, the ammunition that you were using, everything, and the set price, and you know the price will be the cheapest available to you. There's no second guessing any of it. It is great. And you're probably wondering, Deadly, why the hell are you so fired up over menus and loadout builders? Have you used the Escape for Tarkov loadout builder lately? It is just if it works for you, then you're going to be surprised. Half the time, you have people trying to scam you for Mosin barrels and stuff, and like iron sight attachments. You double buy attachments for guns. You're double buying barrels. You buy body armor with plates that are zeroed out. You're getting scammed left, right, and center. It's just not a good system. And if Tarkov had a loadout builder like this, it would be so much better. Like, unreal. Like, I want this in Tarkov so bad. The next thing that I really like about Delta Force is also not necessarily the gunplay or the gameplay. It's whenever you're modifying your weapons. Whenever you mod your weapons, it's very similar to Escape for Tarkov. So you're breaking weapons down to the buffer tube, the stocks, the pistol grips, all that kind of stuff that you know and love. But you can also change the position. You can calibrate stocks. You can change the weight. You can change the buffer tube placement. And this affects the stats on the weapon itself. You can add weight to foregrips. You can do all sorts of cool stuff. But that's not just that. Whenever you are modding your weapon and your weapon is done, this is something that I only learned recently too. You click on details And in the details menu, it's going to show you where your damage fall off is, the modifications that you use on the weapon, how it changes from no mods to all the mods that you just recently added. So you can see exactly where the recoil pattern is going to be, the type of weapon handling, your general stability, your overall accuracy. These are some really cool and innovative weapon features and modification features that are going to completely take the guesswork out of the modification system if you're trying to mess around with different gun builds. And of course, you have the firing range right there, so if you prefer to do it that as well, then you can. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the gameplay. I mean, the game looks good. So like visually speaking, I think it's impressive. It's on par with what you'd expect for a FPS shooter in 2024. Delta Force is definitely more on the DMZ Call of Duty Battlefield style, Apex, you know, that kind of stuff, instead of Escape from Tarkov and ABI. Those are more immersive tactical shooters. So you're getting operators in Delta Force. These operators have unique abilities. Those abilities can be used in the extraction game mode. So you can run a medic if you want, which is going to give you some healing capability. You're not going to be able to permanently heal things like fractures and stuff that bigger meds would mean. But if your buddy busted his leg, you could shoot a dart over to him and he can walk for a little bit. There's the UAV dart, which is probably the most controversial, which is going to show the location of enemies in an area. So all of that stuff works. I'm not a big operator person, and I'm also not a big 3-man comp player. I like playing these types of games solo or duo. So I do believe for somebody like myself, that will be a con, because I feel like games like Tarkov and ABI are far more solo friendly. Like, you do down players in ABI, but in Delta Force, it's a lot more like Warzone adjacent. So people, whenever they get downed, they're able to crawl away pretty quick. But if you're a thirsty player, which just means you shoot downed players immediately, it's not like other games. You can kind of kill them pretty quick. So there's certainly solo capable players out there, but there are other games that will make it easier for you. Delta Force will be more difficult because it is designed for 3-man comps in mind. So how the game mode actually works in comparison to other extraction shooters is very similar to EFT. You deploy on a map. Whenever you deploy, you're shown your extractions, all of them that are available. Some are like Escape from Tarkov, where you either need to not have a backpack or need to be under a certain weight. Some require you to do in-game missions like high-value targets, so you can get in-game currency in that match to purchase your ticket out of the extraction. Some require you to go to a certain location to hit a switch, which unlocks a rare extraction that only has a few minutes of time where it will remain open. Some are randomly available and others are open all the time. So a good variety of exfils. On the map, you got all sorts of different unique missions that are happening on top of the tasks that you accepted from the dealers. And there's high loot locations that are marked directly on the map, similar to Call of Duty DMZ. So you're not really given any guesswork. Like, you know the locations where high value loot will be, and that's where the PvP will ultimately be. Same thing for bosses or mandel bricks. Mandel bricks are these items that require you to extract with certain conditions, and if you do, you get some really valuable equipment. So all the guesswork is taken out, and you're shown exactly what is available to you and what objectives you can complete in every single game. Now, that being said, there's still loot like Escape from Tarkov. Like, you can find all sorts of rare and valuable things. There's plenty of containers to looting computers for GPUs or low value items, duffel bags, weapon boxes. There's even key card rooms, and there's like weird clues that you can do to unlock certain rooms that get you access to rare pieces of equipment. You can open up a random toolbox and get an extremely rare item. So the loot is Escape from Tarkov adjacent. It's not like Call of Duty DMZ. I feel like Tactical Turmoil in Delta Force is what everybody wanted DMZ Call of Duty to be. You didn't want to dilute the entire looting process or the stash or the weapon modifications. They wanted Tarkov, but in Call of Duty. And Delta Force, I feel, delivers that much better than DMZ did. The AI on the maps are just complete pushovers on the lower difficulty, except for the individual bosses that can absolutely kill you pretty quick. But the boss AI is pretty much the only thing that you actually have to worry about. The regular AI are just loot pinatas, and then also audio indicators to let the other players know that you're trying to loot items in this area. It's just to kind of keep the action flowing and keeping things moving, and also bringing a cost like you spending ammunition or using up some of your meds or your armor because you're trying to go and loot in a different region. It's not like EFT where you can get head eyes from like 200 meters away with an AI. The AI are purely at the lower level difficulties, that is. They're just there for you to shoot. That being said, now let's talk about the thing that I dislike the most about Delta Force, which is the player bots. The player bots are not just in the lower ranked versions of the Battlefield game mode, which is Havoc Warfare. It's also in Tactical Turmoil. The more difficult content that you do in Tactical Turmoil, like the confidential maps, significantly reduces the number of bots that are going to be in your matches, but not completely. These AI players also have fake player names, making it extremely difficult to discern whether or not somebody is a real player or not. And I know you're probably wondering, can't you just tell with the skill level? Actually, sometimes you can't. There are some players that are just that bad at the game that you actually think are bots, and then you end up looting them and you're like, oh shit, this was an actual player. So it can be a little challenging at times to figure out who's who. There are ways to do it. The best way is taking a look at the surgery kit slot location. Surgery kits for AI players will always be in the second slot in the rig, and they pretty much always have the exact same medical setup. However, if you buy a kit with one of the tickets where you're unable to edit the placements of items, the location of surgery kits and medical items will be in the exact same place. So sometimes it does make it difficult, but you'll see after you play the game a little bit. Now, this makes it kind of frustrating because if you're a solo player and you autofill, sometimes you'll get AI teammates, and then sometimes you'll get real teammates. And there's no real way of choosing if you just want real people or if you want AI. There's also no way of choosing whether or not you only want real people in your match, or maybe even only AI if you're more of a PvE kind of guy. So it's completely random, and because it has fake player names, even with like TTV in their names and stuff like that, it just completely dilutes the PvP experience, especially in those early levels, because you're never quite sure whether or not you actually outplayed a 3-man squad or you just completely steamrolled a bunch of dumb bots. There's a few ways they can go about solving this problem. The first is by completely removing AI player bots. I don't think anybody really likes fighting them unless it's a mode, a game mode that specifically has them. And if they want to do that, that has less loot and less high value items, where you can just go and play with your buddies, or if you just want to go and shoot AI players like a PvE mode, sure. But whenever you're actually playing the PvP mode, you shouldn't run into any bots at all. That's option number one. Option number two is more interesting, but doesn't necessarily solve the problem. You completely remove the fake player names from these bots and just call them operators. If you play solo, give solo players the ability to add 2 operators to their squad. Or if you're a duo, add 1 operator to your squad. These operators could even be hired in the hideout if you want to get better loot for them, or if you want to adjust what kind of tools and equipment that they use. That could be kind of interesting. And you could also give players in the squad the ability to command these operators and tell them to do things like play aggressively, play defensively, hold a different area, go loot a building, things like that. It would really just make a bad feature more dynamic and more part of the game to make things a bit more interesting. The next thing that I think could be improved is the maps. Whenever you're playing Delta Force Tactical Turmoil, you are deploying into these worlds that are more like Call of Duty, sometimes like Warzone maps. They don't necessarily feel believable. They're not immersive. You're not really immersed into the world. It's more of an arcade experience. That's where games like Escape from Tarkov, ABI, Hunt Showdown, hell, even the Cycle Frontier, whenever you play those games, you feel lost in the world. And I feel like whenever you're playing Delta Force, it's just so obvious that this is like a Call of Duty map. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain, but I feel like you get what I'm talking about. The last thing that I'll say that probably needs some improvement is the menus. There just is an insane amount of menus, and there's lots of rewards that are just completely nested in menus inside of menus and stuff. I'm sure once you play for a little bit, you'll get used to it, but it kind of gets a little overwhelming with all the hidden accolades and achievements and little mini challenges and quests that you can do and battle pass adjacent stuff. You know, it's kind of crazy. It's all over the place a little bit, but it's not all bad, because if you just snoop around the menus, you'll get a bunch of free money and gear all the time. So it's not like you're not getting anything for not discovering these weird menus. It's just like, oh my God, there seems to be an overwhelming amount of the almost exact same style battle pass adjacent system. Maybe that's intentional for the test. They're trying to figure out which one works the best, but it just seems to be a bit much. Another thing that could greatly improve the game is global chat. Do we really need a global chat in 2024 in a game like Tactical Turmoil? And at the very least, the ability to disable it would be fantastic. The only thing that you can do is change to squad chat after every single game. Give players the ability to disable that crazy cesspool chat, because it's definitely not that great. I'll end by saying that the gunplay and the synergy between teammates when you're actually on the game playing it is awesome. Like, I never feel like the netcode is really playing against me. I always feel like my hit registration is really good. The abilities and the synergy with the multiple different operator abilities with your buddies are really fun. The downing system, the medical system, the looting system, that all feels really good. All of the extraction-based mechanics in Delta Force, the entire package, the entire suite of things is really, really, really solid. So that's all I can really say about that. I'm not going to get deep into the actual gunplay and the gameplay, because I feel like it's probably the strongest feature and I don't have much to critique about it. The things that I mentioned in this video are the things that I really love the most and the things that I really dislike the most. So I'm going to leave it up to you. Let me know what you think of Delta Force's extraction game mode in the comment section below. I'm eager to hear what you guys have to say. And of course, subscribe here on YouTube for more content. I have videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, shorts Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I'm also live Monday through Friday, starting at 7:30 a.m. on Twitch and here on YouTube. So I hope to see y'all there. And thanks again for listening. Thanks again for watching. And I hope you guys have some fun playing some Delta Force until October 21st. Again, it's free on Steam right now and will be entering early access before the end of the year on PC and coming to consoles sometime next year, I guess. We'll see y'all next time. Take it easy.